morning. Good morning, everyone. Sabah al khair. Good morning. My name is Amir Wahba. I am the country manager of Spirax Sarco in Egypt. And I'm pleased today that I will be the moderator of this interesting workshop. In this workshop, we will be speaking about the challenges of the decarbonization in the process industry. And we will be focusing on the thermal energy. So let's start by some interesting facts that according to the International Energy Agency, that the industrial sector accounted for more than 38% of the energy all over the world. So this is a big sector that we have to focus on if we want to reach the target net zero at the end. Also, the thermal energy is one of the most important thing in the industrial sector because it's responsible for turning the raw material that we have to the product that we are using every day. And also another interesting fact that the steam all over the world is representing around 5 to 9% of the total of the steam of the energy usage. So, and we often neglect the steam or the thermal energy in our consideration. So now with our speakers that I will please to introduce them to you, we will speak about the challenges in the thermal energy and some of the successes that we made. So starting by Engineer Mohammed Al-Qabbani. Engineer Abbani is the head of corporate and sustainability and value chain development in Beatty. He also received his Master of Engineering in Renewable Energy from London South Bank University. Engineer Abbani has more than 20 years experience in food industry, and he is leading Beatty, which is a joint venture between Al-Marai and PepsiCo in their decarbonization journey. Also, we have Dr. Muhammad Salahuddin. Dr. Muhammad is the Quality, Energy and Excellence General Manager for SIDBEC, CD Clare for petrochemicals. Dr. Muhammad earned his PhD in Industrial Engineering, and he is certified Lean Six Sigma Black Belt and UNIDO Qualified Energy Management. He also was leading SIDBEC, which is one of the pioneers in the Egyptian market in the petrochemical through the journey of the decarbonization. We also welcome from Spirax Sarco, Dave Forte. Dave is the head of the Global Strategic Account. He is a chemical engineer with a solid 20 years experience in healthcare and food and beverage all over the world. And also finally we have Ryan, and Ryan is the Strategic Account Manager for energy and chemical sectors with 20 years experience in the industry from process to subsea. He has a wide experience across the industry around the world. So welcome to our guest, and let me start by asking Dr. Muhammad Salah. Dr. Muhammad Salah, in the industry of the petrochemicals and the oil and gas, we as we speak before the workshop, we know that this sector, especially this sector, becomes interested in the decarbonization, become a little bit late. So from your point of view, what do you see the challenges and the enables and the successes in your sector, and how did you overcome these challenges? So please.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Amir. Let me start by telling the energy efficiency story in SIDBEC. Somehow in flashback approach, our current scene is we have our decarbonization strategy and we have an ambitious target regarding the decarbonization. This is based on our commitment to the SBTI, which is one of the international initiatives. It's called Science-Based Target Initiative. In this initiative, we already set our target to reduce our energy, or let's say our greenhouse gas emissions by 17.4%, but from scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. Scope 1 in SIDBEC is around 160,000 tons per year CO2 equivalent. This is mainly the fuel gas and the thermal energy. And scope 2 is around 100,000 ton per year, which is electricity, and scope 3 is 100, almost 200,000 ton per year. This is regarding our raw material from the feedstock. I think in this regard, we have almost 17%, which is equivalent to around 40% reduction of our energy consumption from the fuel and electricity. In these numbers, I think you can find that the thermal energy is almost 1.5 of the electrical consumption in our company. And this is the main bane of and the main concern of this workshop, because thermal energy is all the time is much more than electrical consumption. But actually, we set all the targets regarding the improvement in electrical consumption, and we got all what we planned. But regarding thermal energy, the situation is completely different. We find that there is a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties to achieve our targets in thermal energy. And I can go back to 2010, when we first started to apply Lean Six Sigma to improve our energy, or to improve our all the processes. And when we set our target at this time, we set a target to reduce the steam consumption in terms of tons of steam. And we found that if we save steam consumption, this steam consumption actually, the actual case, when we save steam at some point in the plant, we find that the operators make some venting at another point. And this is a tragedy, actually. When we come to 2014, in 2014, actually, we have been certified for energy management system according to ISO 50,001, sorry. And this is make a lot of change from our perspective to the energy efficiency. So when we are focusing on reducing thermal energy at that time, from 2014 and to date, we are focusing on saving the fuel gas. Saving the fuel gas is another story. And we already have a lot of opportunities regarding the saving the thermal energy, but we find that this is very difficult to realize a saving in the fuel gas. An important point, actually, in 2020, after we have a lot of quick wins and low-cost opportunities in regard of energy efficiency improvement, we took a bold decision. I think it was a bold decision to work in the consultancy service provision. We hired 2 consultants, KBC and Spirax Sarco. KBC to use new tools like the simulation software tools and also the benchmarking tool. And they delivered to us a roadmap for energy efficiency improvement, including low-cost opportunities and medium-cost opportunities, and also high CapEx opportunities. In parallel with this, we worked with Spirax Sarco to have a complete energy audit for the steam network in our ethylene plant. And for those who are familiar with petrochemical industry and especially ethylene plants has always, according to any licensor, has a very sophisticated steam network, because we have steam at highest pressure of 120 bar We called it super high pressure steam with a temperature of more than 500 degrees centigrade, till low pressure steam with 3 bar and around, I think, 200 degrees centigrade. The point is, this steam is used for what? Used for driving turbines that control the refrigerant. And the refrigerant reaches a level of temperature, reaches 100 minus or negative 160 degrees centigrade. So we are working from 500 degrees centigrade to control minus 160 degrees centigrade. It's a very complicated network with a lot of points of waste, actually. And we have our main pain in the steam header, the high pressure steam header, which is around 43 bar. This steam header is suffering from pressure fluctuation. It's a little bit pressure fluctuation, but it costs us a lot. And we are going now to find a solution for this fluctuation, and we are working for the header stabilization. And I think this is one of our main concern now. And this is, I think we are searching for solution with Spirax and also with other providers from the engineering point of view to find a solution for the steam header stabilization to get our targets in fuel gas consumption to be reduced, which will be reflected on our scope 1 greenhouse gas emission. And this is, I think, the critical point in our decarbonization strategy now, and we are working on it, and I hope we can reach it, but I'm really believe in when we worked with all the consultants, actually we identified a lot of opportunities, but the problem regarding the implementation of these opportunities. It is not so easy to implement some opportunities regarding the reduction of fuel gas consumption, to reduce steam and realize the fuel gas reduction at the same point.
Thank you a lot, Dr. Mohammed, and I see this is very interesting, and the journey that you started here, it's a unique journey in Egypt, and as you said, identifying the opportunity could be not easy task, but could happen, but work on it, and the implementation is the challenging part, and I'm happy and I'm pleased that we see some successes in Silbic, and we are hoping to continue to see success in the future. And from here, Ryan, and as you are also an expert in this sector, so can you tell me more about a global point of view, what you see as challenges around the sectors and successes around the sector?
Yes, thanks, Amir. Morning, everyone. Yeah, there are a lot of challenges in the energy sector. Petrochem refineries traditionally have some very old infrastructure. So some of the new innovative technologies are quite difficult to implement. And one of the challenges is energy balance and steam balance. So some of the innovations are looking at hydrogen production, which is green hydrogen, which is electrolysis. So providing green energy to provide hydrogen. But there's also then, hydrogen is not a byproduct, but it's produced in the petrochemical industry. And if you then use carbon capture, you can then produce blue hydrogen. And that can be used to fuel lots of different other industries, heating, for want of a better phrase. And then we also have electrification, which is one of the big areas that we're seeing at the moment in terms of heating. Traditionally, as we mentioned, fuel gas is used to heat a lot of the elements of a plant, and a lot of the people we're working with at the moment are looking at electrifying a lot of this, so steam being one of them. and looking at electrifying boilers and steam generation. But again, then you've got to look at your origin of that electricity and where it comes from. One of the things we are seeing as well, I don't know if many of you know, we talked about petrochem, but ethylene crackers are these huge furnaces that have fuel gas burning between 750 and 950 degrees C, and they have some steam drums on the top and they superheat it. Electrifying that to those temperatures is quite a significant challenge in terms of electrification and the technology available. So it may have to be done in stages, and again, then you need a lot of electricity, but the infrastructure required for that type of electrification is quite significant and costly. And then you've got the added sort of issue, it's not an issue, I suppose, when you talk about electrification, you traditionally have steam electrification. If you just take out an energy consumer and replace it with another consumer, which is electric, your whole steam system and energy balance across the plant becomes very, very complicated and difficult to manage. And that's one of the issues. So traditionally, you know, boilers or steam production have a redundancy. So they have X plus 2, for example, so X being 100% operating steam generation, and they have that contingency and redundancy for upset conditions like flaring if there's a trip or there's a boiler trip. So if you then manage your steam demand, and going back to Mohammed's point about managing your steam demand, if you manage that properly, you can actually reduce the required technology to then produce your steam. And one of the things that has happened is there's massive inefficiencies in the energy system. If you make that efficient, then your capex required for new equipment and new innovations is significantly reduced, in theory. So in theory, if you're looking at electrification, you can reduce your capex for electrification or H2 steam generation by about double if you manage your steam demand properly. So that's a really, really challenging area for the business at the moment in terms of the new technologies available. But electrification is the hot topic. Hydrogen, green hydrogen, is going to be a long-term solution. Blue hydrogen is something that's achievable now, but obviously you need to have the carbon capture, and then you've got the electrification piece as well. So there's quite a few challenges around at the moment, and those are some of the ones we're seeing.
Thank you, Ryan. That's really interesting, and usually this sector is very interesting, and as we said at the beginning, that probably the decarbonization journey could be a little bit. This sector comes a little bit late in this journey, but it's also, we have seen a lot of progress with the sector either in Egypt or around the world. But this is interesting output. But let's speak about another sector that we also a very important sector for us, which is the sector of the food and beverage. And I see that Beni, you have done a lot of achievement with Beatty in Egypt. So can you just talk with us about the successes and challenges about the thermal energy?
Thank you, Amir. First, when we are talking to food and beverage sector, climate change poses a considerable threat to global food security, not only the industry, it's about food security, with potentially existential economic, political, and social outcomes for the whole humanity, not the industry itself. When we're talking about the carbon footprint for a typical food and beverage industry, you will have for scope 1 for Beatty, for example, we have 16% of our carbon footprint coming from scope 1, which is the boilers and steam network. When we add also the well to tank in scope 3, we can reach 19%, which is, when we talk about 20% of our carbon footprint coming from heating and steam and so. This is because of the heat treatment processing like UHT, pasteurization and so. Also, another factor of in the carbon footprint is the CIP chemicals. and the, of course, electricity and water for the treatment and so on. So we had a good journey in this carbon footprint or the decarbonization journey for the heat emission. I think the first option here when we're talking about fuel substitution, to substitute diesel oil or something to natural gas, we already did so. We reduced our GHG emissions by 30% by this substitution, but also I believe that we can go further for hydrogen, as Ryan said, for hydrogen, for biogas, and even I'm surprised about electrification, but I'll ask him to give us more info about it. Okay. Also, we have some other factors, which is heat pumps, which could be used for for low temperature heating options, and of course the thermal solar energy, which also will support in carbon footprint reduction. For the energy track, for scope 2 and 3, and even it also contribute in scope 1, also the process efficiency. We had a good journey with our partners in Spirax Sarco. Also, I think we captured the opportunity of the long partnership between Beatty and Spirax to have a steam network energy audit for the whole plant. And we are now in the implementation of the solutions that our partners in Spirax had recommended us. And this, I believe that it will help us a lot. Also, we had another project also with our partners in Spirax about using the residual energy for the economizer for the boilers itself. And of course, we had shifted 20% of our electrical energy to be from solar sources. We have 7.6 megawatt peak power plant, which is the biggest grid connected in the food and beverage sector. Also, we are treating the output of the water output of our plant in the biggest one in the biggest ETP plant in Egypt. And in another way, in water, in water track, we have a green CIP, which we can reuse up to 90% of the chemical and water of the CIP process to reuse it again. Also, from the ETP, we planted 6,500 trees, which we think also it could help in the decarbonization and the climate. And by the way, I had a panel in the green area 2 days ago, and we all agreed that this kind of discussion, we all agreed that the number one in the decarbonization journey is the awareness. So this kind of discussion with our partners, with our colleagues, for engaging to our challenges, we can hear each other, we can know the challenges we are all facing, so we can learn from each other good solution, like what Ryan said, and I believe that also Dave will yes we will learn a lot from him. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, and I'm pleased to see that when you spoke about what happened in your journey, you give different example in different things. So it's not, you didn't focus on only one thing, but you are just working in different aspects in your plans, and that's at the end, that's the way that to achieve your target at the end. And I really also like what you said about the awareness, because I believe that the awareness is the first thing that we have to start with. We have to talk with each other, we have to speak about it. And one of the things that really interests me about the conversation we made yesterday about you and your competitor are trying to cooperate together for one thing related to the environment. So this is one of the things that really makes me feel that if we are cooperating together, we can achieve our target at the end. So it's the awareness and the cooperation, and then finding the opportunity. And at the end, the implementation, as you said, Dr. Muhammad, is not easy, but let's start with the first things that we are aware, we are cooperate, and we are talk about it. So thank you a lot. And
Thank you.
Dave, I want to ask you about something that you have a global experience, and you have been in this position for many years. How do you see the decarbonization from your point of view?
Thanks, Amir. Afternoon, everyone. Yeah, that's it's a very interesting question, and I think it follows well from the comments we've had so far and the comments that you were just making, that I don't think there is a universal, there's not going to be a silver bullet, there's not going to be one technology that is going to solve decarbonisation, certainly in the process industries. I think there is going to be a mixture of different technologies we have today and those that maybe come in the future, that Ryan was talking about, maybe hydrogen. So what we're seeing globally at the moment is a vast array of different companies that are sort of on a different stage of their journey. Some are just getting to the point of awareness that, you know, we're all seeing is a vital piece of understanding what your journey, what your roadmap is going to be like to get to a decarbonised state for a manufacturing facility. And some of those are perhaps ahead of the game, and they're already looking at new technologies, adopting them, piloting them on their plants. Some are even revisiting their actual processes to see if they can sort of process it maybe at lower temperatures or at a quicker time. So there's a lot of activity going on around industry about analysing different technologies, but also looking internally at their processes. And a good point that was made was we are also seeing, you know, with our customers, lots of sort of partnerships or joint ventures between what perhaps would have been competitors in the past. I think people and certainly leading manufacturers are starting to understand that this is a challenge they can't do on their own. Whether that's partnering with suppliers or, you know, their competitor that is in the same market as them. We're starting to see a real openness around this subject, and you know, one of the things I would say was, you know, that's got to be a real strong point for us as an industry to get to that decarbonised point. There's been a little bit of mention around electrification, and I think that's probably one of the technologies that we have today to an extent. Ignoring, should we say, the capacity in grids, but from a technology point of view, in terms of generating some of this thermal energy, there is technology out there regards electrification. And just to share a couple of examples, we're working with an international drinks company in Turkey, who have currently some gas-fired steam boilers. So at the moment they're generating their thermal energy on site by burning gas. We're supporting them in terms of some technology that we've brought to them in terms of being able to change out that existing asset from gas to electrification. So we're just changing that existing asset. They're not having to scrap it and bring in a new boiler and all the sort of resource, capex, energy that is related to that. So essentially we're just switching their gas-fired boiler to an electrical one. Using the same assets. Their downstream process is not changed, so they have stability in terms of their production. So from a security perspective of their market, their products, that's unchanged. But what we're able to do is basically remove that emissions and that's generated from burning that gas. They so happen to have a renewable electrical source local to that facility. So essentially we're looking to harness that renewable source and basically remove those emissions. When we move to electrical generation, we're obviously able to completely remove the emissions that are associated with steam generation traditionally. People always think about stacks and smoke and emissions flying up the chimney, but once we move into the electrical phase, we can completely decarbonise at that point the generation of steam. Obviously, it depends where your electricity is coming from. Would be another point. And we, as an organisation ourselves, we're committed to our Scope 1 and 2 emissions, and we are in the process of electrifying our main manufacturing facility in the UK. One, on that site, we have a CHP plant, we have a 10-bar boiler, and we have a 60-bar boiler, not as high as your pressures, Dr. Mohammed, but 60 bar is, pretty high pressure steam. And again, we're adopting electrification for that site, that campus. And so one of the boilers is remaining, and we're just retrofitting that to an electrical system. So again, just removing the gas burner, the fire tubes, and replacing that with electrical elements to then generate that locally. The 60 bar, we're able to then look at how we use that steam. And again, if you're a steam user or a thermal energy user, what we're saying is, you want to look at your steam system, just as what Ryan was saying, to optimize it before you adopt a new technology. So we've reviewed how we use that 60 bar steam. And we're using what we call a technology that we're providing a steam battery that, again, uses electricity, but almost trickles into, should we say, a large vessel for ease, that then maintains that water or that steam within that vessel, and then we draw on that vessel whenever we need to do. So we can use electricity from whether it's generated from a renewable or sort of nighttime when there's less stress on the grids. So we can either get a good rate on the electrical costs, but also we're not pressurizing what is going to be a very limited resource, we believe, in terms of electricity across grids, depending where you are in the world. So that's what we're sort of seeing quite widely, and we're using that technology also in the area of like pharmaceuticals and food and beverage, where there may be a spike in the process. So using that sort of steam battery is able to take out spikes, and again, allows manufacturers to maintain their energy-intensive processes, but at the same time harness, whether it's a renewable source or overnight source of electricity, without adjusting sort of their processes.
Very, very interesting, Dave, and I'm pleased that we, in Spirax, that we are not just trying to help or to support our customers, but we also are taking care of our targets and our own sustainability. And I'm also pleased that we have a very good innovation solution for this journey. So thank you, Dave. And finally, I just want from all the speakers, if you can, starting by Dr. Mohammed, if you can just in 1 minute summarize what you think about the decarbonization and the thermal energy from your point of view.
Okay, actually, I want to highlight. I will take more than 1 minute.
Please. Go ahead. It's your time.
Actually, if we can highlight the energy efficiency, the scope of energy efficiency improvement regarding the climate action, according to the latest statistics by IEA, the contribution of energy efficiency improvement is around 40%. The rest of 60% is regarding the electrification and renewable energy and whatsoever. This 40%, I think, thermal energy has the main part of this 40%. And when we are talking about industry, this is the main point. The energy efficiency, one of the drivers for the climate action. But what is the driver of energy efficiency in the industry? Is it a mutual relationship? Energy efficiency is a driver for climate action, and climate action is a driver for energy efficiency improvement. Who think about it? Actually, in industry, it is not a mutual relationship, because in industry we are searching for the economic production. So the driver for energy efficiency improvement is the economic factors. The return of investment, because in industry we are, our main concern is the bottom line, our profit in the industry. So we should encourage everyone to invest in energy efficiency improvement, because this will be reflected on the economic factor of any business, and the other gain will be the climate action. So we are believing in climate action, and we have already our targets regarding the greenhouse gas emission reduction, But the main driver is the economic factor when we are talking about the industry. So we have to focus in this, and we have to speak this language with all the industry, because this is a fact. We will get the climate action, but through economic factors. Thank you.
That's a great point, Mohammed, and I guess that's coming to the part of the awareness that we were talking about. So more awareness, we will understand more the benefits of what we are doing, either the climate action or even the return of the investment in a short term or a long term. So thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Ryan, do you have something to say?
Just very briefly. Can you hear me? No? Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you anyway.
Good.
without the mic.
Yeah, I was just going to echo what Dr. Mohammed said. I think you're okay. I think there are some parallels. There needs to be a culture shift. You know, the process industry or petrochem industry is at the behest of the demand for plastics, new equipment, that sort of thing. So as we're talking about the parallels between steam generation or energy generation, you're making your plant efficient. If we make our demand across the world efficient for consumer goods, etc., we won't have to produce so much. So there are parallels there. So it's about low-hanging fruit, I suppose, in terms of energy systems and making them efficient, but also then that demand for plastics and things like that across the globe that are driving that sector or these sectors to continue to produce. The technologies that are available are limited at the moment. They're effective, but we need to do more. But we also need to then make ourselves more efficient in our usage.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you a lot. And Benny, do you have also one thing to summarize what you see in the decarbonization journey?
Yes, I can echo Dr. Mohammed for this economical part. Although I said that it's now, climate change or decarbonization is now not an option, or it's good for business. It's a matter of existence. It's a matter of food security, which is a global challenge, not local or regional. It's a global challenge for food security. So yes, we have to invest more in climate change, and also we have to make partnership with our partners, with you, with funds, with banks, for the green projects. I think this is one of the most important. Really, I had this impression in the green zone. There are a lot of banks there. They are all talking about green grants and green project funding, and so I think this is very important. Also, again, I have to mention the awareness, because I was thinking about reusing of the thermal ports, and then I discussed some carbon capture with one of our partners, but also our dear guests here mentioned the electrification and the steam battery, which I think we have to have more discussion about them. But I know that the time now is not is not suitable. But I think we should have this kind of discussion, long discussion about these two options, which will help us a lot in the decarbonization journey. Thank you, Amir.
Thank you, Penny. And you are welcome every time. We have the booth outside, so we are welcome to have this discussion.
Yes, please.
Today or any time. Dave, do you want to summarize?
Quickly, yeah. Thanks, Amir. I guess everyone sort of said pretty much what I was going to say in terms of, I think, optimization, partnerships, awareness is going to be key. As I said at the outset, I think there's not going to be one solution. So I think working together across industry is going to be vital for the success. And I think about the challenge that the process industry has in terms of how energy is used, the intensification of it. Steam is fundamentally a natural technology, should we say, in terms of it's generated from water and returns to water. So decarbonising how that is generated will still allow all those benefits of the process industry to keep moving in the right direction using the thermal energy that it relies on.
Thank you a lot, Dave. And I know that we talk in a different subject, but for me, if I will have a takeaway from this session, I believe that the awareness and the cooperation and the partnership are the most important thing in this journey. So thank you a lot for your participation today. Thank you for what you shared with us, and thank you for all the audience for your participation. Thank you a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.